How's it going, everybody? We are back with another live edition of the Ad Podcast, filming from the A&A Brand Masters in downtown Los Angeles at LA Live. We have Matt Zucker, the Chief Marketing Officer and partner at Profit. Matt, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, terrific. Great to be here and here outside.
Yeah, let's go. So let's start off with who you are and what you guys do. Tell me a little bit about yourself, your role, and what do you guys do at Profit?
So Profit is a strategy and creative firm. So we help clients with their brand strategy, marketing, and growth problems. I mean, what we try to do is try to find that uncommon growth, which we call, high impact growth that is sustainable, that, is through resilient times, that is faster to market, that is actionable, and that is a little more human.
I love that.
So I have two jobs at Profit, actually.
Yep.
I'm both the Chief Marketing Officer for Profit, marketing Profit's brand and demand, but also I'm a client partner, so I also do marketing strategy work for clients.
Do the execution as well.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a couple of hats there.
It is, but I like to practice what I preach, and
it's
they're
important
very
to,
related,
Drink your own Kool-Aid, so to speak.
Yeah, you got to
right?
test out what you advise.
Yeah, I love that. So what brought you to the Brand Masters this week?
Yeah, so I love the A&A, and I've been to events before, but this year, for the first time, we're a sponsor.
Nice.
So we are a sponsor of the A&A's new brand practice. So we're kind of the founding sponsor. We were the first to sign up. Yeah, it's very cool. And so part of that is to not just attend the events, but also be able to contribute, some IP and things like that too. So this week we have a booth, but I think importantly we did a couple things. We spoke on stage. So we had a client brand, Roblox.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. So we did kind of a nice Q&A. It was really interesting. I think it was a really great attended and received conversation about gaming and Roblox and that space, which a lot of us don't necessarily know a lot about.
The kids sure do. Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
that's a lot of the kids know more than the parents about it.
Yeah.
And
my daughters, between that and Fortnite, it's most of their waking hours when they're not busy doing schoolwork or other things. So it's quite a phenomenon.
Yeah, and growing. And it's a growing category, and it's also aging up too. We talked a little bit about how it's not just Roblox isn't just little kids anymore. Mm-hmm. It's up to there's growth in like teenagers and even adults, and it's just a really interesting business and a big part of the mix that doesn't always get talked about. And then the other thing we did this week was David Ocker, our vice chair, he's kind of known as the father of modern branding, who's a well-regarded author and has published more than 10 books, launched his second edition of his iconic Ocker on branding.
Let's go.
And it came out on Tuesday. So we were able to give every attendee a copy. They were the first. I told them they were the first marketers in the world to get their hands on the book.
Wow, that's awesome. So they're like galley copies, pre-print.
Reviewers and stuff. But they're the only marketers in the world that got a real copy. Yeah.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit more about your panel. What were some of the themes that you wanted to explore ahead of time, and what were some of the things that came up that might have surprised you?
Right. Yeah. So we had worked with Roblox on brand strategy previously. And as they needed to expand and grow and age up, and that was part of the plan. And so now it's a couple of years later, so I got to hear how it's going and the results. And really, luckily, Ashley McCollum, who is the head of immersive media solutions at Roblox, who was my guest, and we had the conversation. She had just come back from the upfronts, from the new fronts in New York. So everything was very fresh, all the data, everything she had presented. So we got to hear firsthand about the growth of the market and how big gaming is, and it's bigger than we all think. They had something like 98.7 million, give or take, users every day. The numbers are really much bigger than I even thought. But what I thought was the most value to the audience was probably talking about some sample activations, what brands can do in these immersive virtual environments and in this world of gaming, and that you can do everything. Doesn't have to be. She used this NFL example. It was this amazing world that they created and really immersive. And she had crawl, walk, and run ideas, and that's a run idea.
Yeah.
But she could also talk about other ways brands can get involved and do things, so you can figure out the best way to take it on. So I really liked the examples. I thought they created a lot of value for people. Any kind of watch outs about it. What to do and what not to do. I think a lot of us here at the conference are trying to take on challenges like brand-led growth and measurement, and how do you measure brand, and brand versus demand, and profits advocacy is really brand and demand integration, that both brand and performance. It's not about balancing them. It's not about one or the other.
One feeds the other.
One feeds the other.
Yeah, you're
actually, they both feed each other.
Yeah, I mean, your performance channels don't work if no one really knows who you are, but more importantly, if they don't care about you or identify with you.
Yeah.
Then you're just a commodity.
Yeah, and the other thing we did is Marisa Mulvihill, who's the head of brand strategy at Profit, she hosted a breakfast with WARC, the research effect. They specialize in marketing effectiveness. They're amazing, and talked about our report that we contributed to at WARC called the multiplier effect, and it's all about brand as a multiplier effect for demand and for overall numbers. So that I think people were also embracing that conversation. People have always thought about it, but I think it's really in the last year or two where it's really hit a nerve. It's like, okay, we all mostly believe this, and it's more, how do you do it?
Yeah. Were you at all aware of the buzz around the temporary change of the colors and the logo of Roblox? My kids told me about it. I guess that was something that there was a lot of discussion amongst their friend groups.
Oh, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, I guess the founder or one of the original inventors or somebody who was early on in the development of the Roblox platform and game passed away, and they did it kind of in honor of him for a period of time, and it was just interesting to me that my kids even were discussing something as simple as a logo change or color change, or how the brand shows up.
I mean, Dave Acker's book also talks about the new one, managing your brand, and it did come up about evolution in pop sockets.
Yep.
Yeah,
totally.
They gave us out ones.
Oh yeah, I love
and it's really
things.
fun. And but they talked about how they had to evolve because the product started off solving a problem of your headphones being, difficult
now we're all wired
to tie up, but now we're all wired. And so how do they keep the momentum after their launch and stay relevant? So they have a million new products
themselves. How do they refresh through product design, innovation? I saw the one that you have there as a magnet, which is you used to have to stick it on with a sticker.
Right? This is already an evolution, right?
Yeah,
which is
totally.
cool too. And they have to also protect their core audience, which are really they design your thing, and you do other things, and as well as attract new people like me that never had one.
Yeah. So, were there other panels or other content or other key themes overall from the conference that you're taking away and bringing back to the team or going to apply in your own work?
Yeah, I'm working on kind of a write-up of those, so that's going to be good plain work. So I don't have it all congealed yet.
Sure, of course.
Congealed yet, but a few things that I'm thinking about are the brand measurement, the challenge of measuring brand, and a few tips on what that might look like. It's still a big puzzle. The second is around culture. Marcus Collins, Dr. Marcus Collins, who is not from a brand, but he's
from the agency world, right?
He's from the agency world. Yeah. He's a best-selling author now.
Yeah, I think he was at Barclay or something like that.
Yeah, and Wyden.
Before you went over.
And he had a keynote, and he spoke about his book Culture. Talks about creating meaning, and that we don't create meaning. We have to listen to the culture, because every person interprets the meaning for themselves. So we might create messaging, and we can signal certain meanings, but we have to be more prepared for, we say we're customer-centric, right? The end user, and how each of them are very different, and the same message, right, might be absorbed very, very differently by different people. So it's not just the what. I think he kept saying it's the who, and the who, and it was a good refresher and a recontext that here we are creating all these messages that we think are important to us and our brand. And yes, we want to be authentic in ourselves, but if you really want them to be heard and felt and delivered, you can't necessarily control the way they are. So you really have to understand where you're engaging and what's happening, for them to be able to be absorbed.
Yeah, that's interesting. It reminds me of a story on a phone call that I had this morning. A lot of brand... Excuse me, let me start that one over. So that reminds me of a conversation I had this morning. I was on a call with an investment banker who's not a marketing guy this morning, and I told him I went on my run, as we talked about, to kind of get the creative juices flowing this morning, and he told me a story about buying... Are you familiar with the Whoop bracelet? It's kind of a bracelet that measures your activity. Yeah. Well, he bought one, and then he got an email like a week later saying, hey, we've just upgraded to the 5.0. Do you want the 5.0?
Yeah.
And he was a little frustrated with the idea that, nobody let him know as a salesperson when he bought the original product that a new version was coming out in just a week later. So he contacted customer service. They totally understood where he was coming from. They said, hey, look, if you bought it within the last 30 days, absolutely, we are going to go ahead and send you a 5.0. And not only that, what we'd love to do is we would love to send you a box so you can take your 4.0 and you can gift it to somebody and give it to a friend. And I just thought that was such an interesting lesson that customers care not about what you say, they care about what you do. And how do you actually show up, whether that's in a retail experience, in customer service, how you communicate one-to-one.
Right.
And what that creates is a 5-minute organic story that he told me word of mouth, and now you and I are discussing on a podcast that might go out to tens of thousands of people. So I think that's a big component, is that people are looking at, not just how our brand's messaging, but what are they actually doing, and how do those stories come to life.
Yeah, people look for proof.
Yeah, love that. All right, where should people go if they want to find out more about Profit, if they want to buy the new book, or if they want to connect with you directly?
Probably Profit.com has both what we do and then access to Acheron Thinking, where you can link off to his book, whether it's Amazon or you buy it somewhere else. You can get a digital or a physical copy. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty accessible. I love talking about Profit, myself, and our work.
I love it.
So reach out.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on.